posted 5 photographs, 5 quiet images from a city she had never seen before. And then silence. On January 21st, 2013, a mother of 2 was supposed to board a plane home to New York. She never did. 12 days later, her body was found hidden behind ancient ruins in Istanbul. What happened in between is a story told only through shadows, rumors, and 5 haunting photographs. This is the death of Sarai Sierra. Sarai Sierra was 33 years old, a mother, an amateur photographer, and someone who believed the world still had quiet places worth discovering. She lived in New York City, worked at a chiropractor's office, and spent her free time chasing light. Empty streets, abandoned buildings, spaces where human presence lingered but never appeared. Photography wasn't her job. It was her escape. Friends described her as curious, introspective, and gentle. Her father said she was fascinated by history, by cities layered with stories. In January of 2013, Sarai decided to do something she had never done before. She left the country alone. On January 7th, Sarai landed in Istanbul. It was her first time outside the United States. Originally, she was supposed to travel with a childhood friend. But when that plan fell through, Sarai went anyway. She rented a room in Tarlabaysai, a neighborhood locals described as rough, but affordable, central, and alive with character. She stayed connected with home constantly. Text messages, video calls, updates to reassure her family that she was safe. And then there was Instagram. Sarai was participating in something called the hashtag 5-Shot Challenge. 5 photos, 5 days, no reposts, no explanations. The challenge was meant to push artists out of their comfort zones. But looking back, the images feel less like a challenge and more like a goodbye. Her photos showed empty spaces, stations, water, movement without people. Her final image was captioned, "Your movement's similar to a serpent." No one knew what it meant. No one knew it would be the last thing she ever shared. January 21st, 2013. Sarai packed her things. She was scheduled to fly home that day. She told her family she planned to visit the Galata Bridge before heading to the airport. That was the last time anyone heard from her. The next day, her husband Stephen took their 2 sons, ages 9 and 11, to Newark Liberty International Airport. They waited. The flight landed. Passengers walked out. Sarai never did. Back in Istanbul, police entered Sarai's rented room. Her passport was there. Her clothes were there. Her medical cards. Her phone chargers. Everything she would need to leave the country was still behind. Whatever happened to Sarai Sierra happened before she ever made it to the airport. And now, the city had swallowed her whole. Istanbul is a city that never stops watching. Cameras line its streets, its bridges, its train stations, its malls. Millions of people move through the city every day, recorded, time-stamped, archived. So when Sarai Sierra vanished, investigators believed one thing with certainty. Somewhere, the city had seen her. Turkish police began where Sarai's story paused, her rented room in Tarlabaysai. The room was tidy, undisturbed, no signs of a struggle, no missing luggage, no indication she planned to disappear. But what stood out most was what she didn't take: her passport, her chargers, her personal documents. If Sarai planned to leave Istanbul that day, she left unprepared, or she never made it back. Investigators turned to Sarai's digital footprint, her phone records, her email, her social media messages. She had been communicating with other photographers online. One in particular had reportedly planned to meet her the day she vanished. Police questioned him. Nothing concrete emerged. Still, investigators believed Sarai had left her room willingly that morning. Now they needed proof. Then came the breakthrough. Security cameras inside a shopping mall captured Sarai alive. She's seen sitting in a food court. Her tablet rests in her hands. She scrolls calmly, checks her email. She looks normal, no visible distress. No one forcing her. No one chasing her. Another camera shows her riding an escalator upward. This footage becomes the last confirmed image of Sarai Sierra alive. Investigators freeze the frame. Sarai is wearing a jacket, a scarf, casual travel clothes. Later, this detail will become devastatingly important because when Sarai is found, she will still be wearing these same clothes. News spreads fast. A missing American woman, a mother, a tourist. Turkish authorities launch a massive search. More than 1,000 police officers are deployed. Sniffer dogs scour parks and alleyways. Divers search waterways. Officers comb the streets near the Galata Bridge. Missing persons cases are rare in Turkey. This one is becoming impossible to ignore. As pressure grows, Turkish authorities invite help. The FBI joins the investigation. It's a rare move, a signal that this case is serious. Sarai's husband and brother fly to Istanbul, walking the streets she walked, retracing her final known steps. For days, the search produces nothing. No witnesses, no ransom, no suspects, just rumors. Online speculation explodes. Some claim Sarai was a spy. Others suggest she was involved in drugs. Some question why a woman would travel alone. The city divides. One side mourns her, the other blames her. But investigators remain focused on facts. And one fact becomes unavoidable. If Sarai didn't leave Istanbul, then she was still somewhere inside it. 12 days pass. 12 days of unanswered questions. Then, on February 2nd, 2013, a passerby notices something behind the ancient city walls. Something that doesn't belong. And suddenly, the search for Sarai Sierra is no longer a search for a missing woman. It becomes a homicide investigation. For nearly 2 weeks, Istanbul held its breath. Every alley searched. Every lead exhausted. Every hour stretching hope thinner. Then, on February 2nd, 2013, the silence broke. Near the ancient city walls of Kurtorum, just steps from one of Istanbul's busiest roads, a passerby noticed something unusual. Behind the crumbling stone ruins, a body, hidden, discarded, left to rot in plain sight. Police arrive within minutes. The area is sealed, and within moments, officers know this is Sarai Sierra. Sarai is found fully clothed. She is wearing the same outfit captured on surveillance footage days earlier. No attempt had been made to bury her. Instead, her body was concealed behind rubble, as if whoever left her there believed no one would look closely enough. But what shocks investigators most is the injury to her head. The medical examiner confirms the worst. Sarai did not die peacefully. She was killed by a violent blow to the head. Her skull had been crushed. This was not an accident, not a fall, not a medical emergency. It was homicide. As investigators processed the scene, they noticed something critical. Under Sarai's fingernails, skin, blood, DNA. She had fought her attacker. This wasn't a silent death. It was a struggle. Nearby, police discover a blanket. Its presence raises questions. Did the killer attempt to move her, hide her, or return later? The scene suggests panic, not planning. Violence, not strategy. The body's location troubles investigators. This area is not remote. Cars pass constantly. Pedestrians walk nearby. Tourists cross the bridge daily. Whoever killed Sarai took a risk leaving her here, which means one thing. They were either desperate or believed they would never be caught. News of Sarai's death spreads instantly. International headlines erupt. An American mother murdered abroad. In Turkey, the reaction fractures. Some express sorrow. Others deflect blame. Questions swirl. Why was she alone? Why was she there? Why that neighborhood? But investigators shut out the noise. They now have evidence. And evidence leads to people. This is no longer about where Sarai went. It's about who crossed her path. Police begin canvassing the area around the city walls. They re-examine surveillance footage, witness statements, known criminals in the vicinity, and slowly, a name begins to surface. Sarai Sierra didn't vanish into a mystery. She was taken, she fought, and she left behind proof. Now, investigators are closing in, but the truth they're about to uncover will be darker than anyone imagined. Once Sarai Sierra's body is found, the investigation changes overnight. This is no longer a search. It's a manhunt. Every camera is rechecked. Every known offender in the area is pulled into the light, and one name refuses to disappear. The neighborhood surrounding the ancient city walls is no stranger crime. Petty theft, drug activity, violent offenders living in the shadows of history. Police begin questioning known criminals who frequent the area. Among them, a man locals already feared. His name is Ziya Tasalli, known on the streets as Laz Ziya, a Turkish man with a long criminal history. Unstable, violent, frequently high on drugs. Witnesses report seeing him near the city walls around the time Sarai disappeared. That alone is enough to bring him in. At first, Tasalli denies everything. His story shifts. Timelines don't align. Details change under pressure. Investigators notice something else. Scratches, defensive marks, marks that match the evidence found under Sarai's fingernails. DNA testing begins. Nail scrapings, biological traces, clothing fibers. The results come back. They point directly to Ziya Tasalli. This is no longer circumstantial. It's forensic, under mounting evidence. Tasalli breaks. He confesses. According to him, he encountered Sarai near the city walls. He claims he tried to approach her. She resisted. What follows is violent. Tasalli admits to striking her with a rock. A single blow, a fatal blow. But even in confession, he minimizes. He claims he was high on drugs. He denies rape. He insists he only attempted to kiss her. His words ignite outrage, because Sarai fought, and the evidence suggests far more than what he admits. The confession does not bring closure. It brings fury. In Turkey, debates explode. Is this an isolated crime, or a reflection of a deeper violence toward women? In the United States, the reaction is raw. How could this happen? How was she left so vulnerable? Sarai's name becomes a symbol. Tasalli is formally charged with murder. The courtroom is tense. Media floods every session. Every word is analyzed. Every excuse dissected. Prosecutors argue. This was not an accident. This was not impulse. This was brutality. In June 2014, the verdict arrives. Ziya Tasalli is sentenced to life in prison for murder. For many, it feels final. But the story isn't finished, because something crucial is missing. Years later, Turkey's Court of Cassation reviews the case. They overturn parts of the original ruling. Why? Because charges related to sexual assault and theft were not fully addressed. A retrial is ordered. In March 2019, the case returns to court. This time, the outcome is undeniable. Tasalli receives an additional sentence. 11 years and 8 months for sexual assault and theft. The full truth finally enters the record. Ziya Tasalli will never walk free, but Sarai Sierra will never come home, and the city that watched her walk its streets must now live with what happened in its shadows. When the courtroom emptied, when the cameras shut off, when the headlines moved on, Sarai Sierra was still gone. Justice, on paper, had been served. But justice does not undo loss. Back in New York, Sarai's family returns to a life that no longer makes sense. Her children grow up with photographs instead of memories. Her husband lives with questions no verdict can answer. What was supposed to be a short trip became a permanent absence. Too often, victims are remembered only for how they died. But Sarai lived. She was an artist, a mother, a woman who saw beauty in empty places. Her photography captured silence, and in the end, silence captured her. Her final posts remain online. 5 images, 5 days, 5 fragments of a journey. Each photo now feels like a farewell, though she never meant it to be. Trying to understand her final days through Instagram is like trying to hear a scream through glass. In Turkey, the case forced a painful reckoning, not just with crime, but with how women are treated. Some asked, why was she alone? Why was she there? Why didn't she know better? Others asked a harder question. Why is survival expected? instead of safety guaranteed. Sarai was judged for her curiosity, for her independence, for walking where history lived. The same streets walked freely by men became evidence against her, and that reality unsettled many. Her death exposed uncomfortable truths. That danger doesn't always announce itself. That violence often hides in plain sight. That being careful is not the same as being protected. And that curiosity should never carry a death sentence. Zia Tassali will die behind bars. But prison does not erase harm. It does not return time. It does not restore trust. And it does not answer the deepest question. Why did Sarai cross his path that day? Years later, the city walls still stand. Tourists pass them every day. Few know what happened there. Fewer still stop to listen. Because cities remember quietly. Sarai Sierra did not come to Istanbul to be brave. She came to see, to document, to understand. And in doing so, she unknowingly revealed something darker than art. The fragile line between freedom and danger. Her story isn't a warning. It's a question. How many stories end before they're finished? And how many voices fade? Because no one was listening?